Okay, so we are starting Unit 7 off with positive and negative numbers. This should be somewhat of a review for you guys as you've kind of been dealing with positive and negative numbers for a couple years now in math. So looking at this side, we're going to go over some vocabulary just to make sure we have the correct information. So positive numbers are located to the right of 0 and go on in the right direction infinitely. And then negative numbers are, located to the left of 0 and go on to the left infinitely. What do we know about, with negative numbers though, the further we get away from 0, what do we know? So the further to the left of 0, what do we know about those numbers? Gabby? Okay. All right, is 0 positive or negative? Is 0 positive or negative? Ben? Nope. Nope. Kira? Right, it's neither positive nor negative. And then integers is another word for positive or negative numbers. All right, give me a thumbs up when you have these notes copied down. All right, so this is 0 right here. So this is kind of our middle point, right? Between our negative and our positive numbers. So we know that all the numbers to the right of 0 are greater as they go further away, and they are positive. All the numbers to the left of 0 are negative and have less value. And this is where the further from 0, good thing I can't spell today, the smaller the value. All right, so numbers to the left of 0 are always what? Raise your hand and tell me. Numbers to the left of 0 are always what? Sophia? Okay, numbers to the right of 0 are always, Abby? a positive number is always blank, then a negative number. Callie? Did you say greater? Yes, ma'am. All right. 0 is neither blank or blank. Alex? Huh? Well, it's both. So you said positive or negative. Okay. 0 is blank, then all negative numbers. 0 is blank, then, all negative numbers. Ariana? All right, a negative number is always blank, then a positive number. Bryson? Less than. And then this is just something really super important to remember. A number that is furthest to the left is always the smaller number, and that is going to be true. And like I said, the further left you go, the smaller the number gets. What?
But the negative number is always less than.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Now, moving over to the right side, we're just simply going to be graphing, which is really just plotting the points on these number lines. Again, this is a very basic introduction to positive and negative numbers. It's more of just kind of refreshing our brains on something that you probably haven't thought about in about a year. Because I'm sure you talked about positive, negative numbers when you're dealing with coordinate grids in 5th grade or coordinate planes in 5th grade, but really we haven't really dealt with them. So the next couple things we're going to do is, like I said, we're just going to be plotting them. And then, for example, negative 17 is less than a negative 10 because a negative 17 is further to the left on the number line than negative 10. So just kind of be mindful. Even though negative 17, guys, yes, a human just walked into my room. Is that human teaching you? So then don't look at that human. You should be looking at the TV. Even though 17 is bigger than 10, a negative 17 is not bigger than 10. So you have to pay very close attention to your negative and your positive signs in front of your numbers. What if this negative 17 actually just had 17? I'd just say 17. Is that a positive or is that a negative number? Kira?
Positive.
It's a positive number. So if you don't see any sign, that means it's a positive number. All right, so number 1 under the examples, where is negative 8 going to go? So we're starting 0 always. This is always where we start. All right, so I'm starting on 0. Someone tell me where I'm going. Soraya? Huh? 8 to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, you must draw the little hops. Okay? I know. You're like, Miss Kenny, really? Yes, really. So, and then you end up on negative 8. All right? Number 2, where are we starting? Where are we starting? Lily? Okay, so I'm starting here. And Lily, where am I going? So I'm going to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, and then the last one, negative 2. Where am I starting? Where am I starting? Alex? Starting at 0. All right, so questions about your notes? Questions at all? No? Yes, yes, no? What?
It's very, very easy. Look at it.
Remember what you just said. make sure you put your name on it at least once. And you'll notice that there are two different cool downs, on the same page. So you are getting two separate grades today, even though they're on the same page. Alright, do not start yet. You can go ahead and glue your notes in on the note page. Alright, so this is remember, this should not be on the right side because you started with your pre-assessment on the right side, or left side, sorry. So this is going on your right side. Now, let's look at the cool down real quick. So for lesson 1, on your cool down, it is saying state whether you agree with each of the following statements and explain why you agree or disagree. So for number 1, it says a temperature of 35 degrees Fahrenheit is as cold as a temperature of 35 degrees, sorry, negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're gonna write I agree because, or I disagree because. So just like we did with our posters that we did around the room, you cannot just write I agree. If you write I agree, or if you write I disagree, you're not gonna get it right. It says explicitly. It says explicitly in the directions that you have to explain why you are agreeing or disagreeing. Number 2, it says a city has an elevation of 15 meters, is closer to sea level than a city that has an elevation of negative 10 meters. Again, I agree or I disagree and tell me why. And then the last one is a city has an elevation of negative 17 meters, is closer to sea level than a city that has an elevation of negative 40. So that is lesson 1. Again, you should not be completing this right now. You're not listening. We're going over this so you understand. Because remember, Elizabeth just told us this was super easy. So if it's super easy, y'all use what you just learned. Slide over to lesson 2, positive, negative, and opposites. So you are putting the numbers in order from least to greatest. What does the word least mean? What does the word least mean? Ben?
It means less than or.
Smallest. So the smallest number to the greatest number. For whatever reason, least is just a word that we don't understand. If you get stuck, you can use the number line that is right here on your page. So once you have put your numbers in order from least to greatest, you can use the number line or you can just rewrite them. Number 2 says write 2 numbers that are opposites and each more than 6 units away from 0. So an opposite is like if I pick 2, the opposite of 2 is negative 2. If I said negative 2, the opposite is 2. So it's with number 2, you have to do at least 6 units away from 0 on both sides. So give me an example of an opposite that's greater than 6.
Negative 18.
Negative 18. So what's the opposite of negative 18? 18. What's the opposite of 400? Ariana? Negative 400. So the opposite is legit the either positive or the negative number. It's the exact same number, just with a negative or a positive in front of it, depending on what you pick. All right. Then turn this in, and you have the hardest homework in the entire world. Not really. You have 4 questions where you have to plot some points. This is due tomorrow. Okay? So cool down for the remainder of the class period. Once you're done with your cool down, please come get a homework from me. Go ahead.